Drama and chaos. And
For more than 1 year,
I snorted just a tiny little bit.
meth and the quest for the next high
I didn't think it was a big deal.
controlled Donnell Rogers' life.
4 days later, I realized, wow, I'm still awake.
Now in recovery, one of Donnell's most vivid addiction memories was driving way too fast on the expressway at all hours to get more meth. The drug left her feeling invincible.
You could take on anybody. You really don't ever have to sleep. You don't eat. You're constantly running.
At first, Donnell's story was one we've commonly come to know. She was on opioids after a medical issue left her in constant pain. When the relief was not enough, she turned to meth, never imagining she'd become an addict to such a dangerous drug.
Because in less than a year of doing meth, I almost lost my house. My husband just about left. My mom had to take my daughter. My health was failing.
All from a drug that was once prominent here until opioids took over a few years ago. The I-Team has learned meth is now back on top, flooding Miami Valley streets with more than enough supply to meet demand. But this new meth source and potency has changed. Just 10 years ago, people were using old buildings like this burned-out house to make their own meth, to use it or sell it on the street. But not so much anymore because it's coming from another country. Much of it is from Mexico. Border Patrol agents find all kinds of drugs being shipped here, a lot of it hidden in cars and trucks. And you can see the size of this meth shipment found at the border in El Paso, Texas. Montgomery County Sheriff Rob Struck says the drug cartels reintroduced meth to the mix of drugs being sold here at home after authorities focused so much enforcement on opioids.
And now they can ship it here for cheaper than what somebody can turn around and make it in their parents' garage or in their basement or wherever they're driving around, and it's much safer just to buy it as opposed to how dangerous it is to make.
Drug task forces say meth never really went away completely, but with opioids no longer the top drug of choice, and meth's so cheap now, they're seeing more usage than ever before. What scares you the most about meth?
Just the availability of it. We have seen a huge spike in it. I think between 2016 and 2017, we saw a 1,400% increase in the amount of meth that we seize from the street.
Investigators bring it here to the Montgomery County Crime Lab for testing. With the coroner, Dr. Ken Harshbarger finds it's often mixed with other drugs like fentanyl. The impact on the body is overwhelming.
The first use of meth, someone can die from a cardiovascular event from that stimulant component. So there's an acute risk every time someone uses cocaine or methamphetamine, but methamphetamine carries that over time destruction of the body.
Records obtained by the I-Team show among accidental drug overdose deaths, the cases where meth was involved in Montgomery County, have risen from just 1% in 2010 up to 29% in fatal overdoses in 2018. National Centers for Disease Control numbers follow the same path, headed higher every year. Montgomery County Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services Associate Director Jody Long says it leaves the community fighting yet another type of drug crisis.
First, we have to talk about prevention and continue offering prevention from very young ages to really prevent people from developing addiction to start with.
All rise, please.
What did it take for Donnell to move from meth to recovery? She ended up here in Montgomery County's drug court after being caught cashing a bad check.
And then when I got that summons for court, I was like, I probably should try to stop.
You're going to have to bear down, right, and get through it.
It was a chance to get help. In court, women get the support they need to stay off of drugs. Some are kept in jail and treated there. Others are released for outside treatment. We saw the judge leave the bench to give one woman a hug of encouragement. And there's even a therapy dog to help out. After going to drug court, Donnell Rogers has been clean ever since. With her family's support, she now has her life back.
I just wouldn't have it any other way. And I say all the time that even my worst days now are far better than my best days then.
She's also working with the group Families of Addicts, FOA, to spread the word that recovery does work. Vitally important, she feels, as meth resurgence takes a hold on the Miami Valley. Drive anywhere in the Miami Valley and you'll hear two familiar words.
Speed trap.
Speed trap.
Speed traps do exist.
And one of the towns where drivers have complained going back decades is the Clark County village of Northampton.
Yes, it was out of control many times.
I want to show you the problem here, right here in the village. It's 35 miles an hour. But look further down the road at the edge of the village and beyond, it's 55. Some people don't slow down fast enough, and that's when they get caught.
Anytime you're coming into a small town, you know that the speed limit's going to drop. The signs are well out there, they're visible.
A state report found, though, per capita, Northampton gave out more tickets than any other village in the Miami Valley. The chief says, though, that statistic doesn't tell the whole story, showing us some of the guns and drugs he's found in the cars he's pulled over.
Morning, sir.
Adding his community is not a speed trap, so people here support him.
I go 35, sometimes I even go 30.
Number 2 on the state's list for tickets per capita is Clark County's Tremont City. It was also named in the top 10 worst places in Ohio by the website speedtrap.org. I talked by Skype with the man behind the website.
Ohio most areas are a border-to-border speed trap. The posted limits are set 10 and more miles per hour below the safest level. That makes enforcement very profitable.
Defense attorney Mark Babb says if you're caught in a speed trap, don't complain to the officer, but instead fight it later in court.
It may save you on your insurance later if you keep those points off your license.
All right, please.
People who get tickets say the system is unfair.
The courts get more money out of us.
Magistrates say they hear every excuse conceivable, including that drivers were distracted, turning on the radio, or adjusting the rearview mirror. I asked them, how do you not roll your eyes in court when they give you that excuse?
Oh, we do give them the eye roll and sometimes the finger. It's like, be aware.
The Highway Patrol's Chris Colbert showed us how they do enforcement, looking for people going way too fast.
Like 84 is coming up here on... You guys care if we make...
Yeah, go for it.
3007 southbound Stanley.
After a brief pursuit, we caught up with the driver, just 19 years old and in a hurry. The patrol says they don't have speed traps. They do run radar in the places with the most crashes.
We work for the public. We do a job that nobody wants us to do, but everybody wants us to do. They don't really want you to, but by the same token, they know it's necessary.
Caller said that her house was shot up. There's 15 shots fired.
In some neighborhoods in the Miami Valley, random gunfire is a constant threat.
It is a serious problem. About every other night you hear gunshots.
Lodia Furness is battling a growing amount of gunfire in her East Dayton neighborhood, and records obtained by the I-Team show in 2018 across all of Montgomery County, 911 dispatchers received more than 2,200 calls from people who thought they heard gunfire.
And it makes it feel unsafe to be out on the streets because you don't know whether somebody's going to start shooting at you or not.
I don't know. I didn't see him. I just heard the shot.
Making matters worse, Dayton police say 80% of the gunfire, nobody calls 911. When it is reported, Montgomery County Sheriff Rob Streck says they're not given much to go on from the public.
And we may get 20 911 calls saying, yeah, we just heard a succession of shots being fired. Okay, did you see anybody? Nope, didn't want to look out the windows.
Well, it's driven by GPS coordinates.
A solution, though, is available. The I-Team found some proven technology that detects gunfire and automatically alerts police. It's called ShotSpotter and is now working in Columbus.
And all of these little bubbles here will tell us how many shots were fired.
Deputy Chief Richard Bash is showing us how it works. With a series of microphones and other sensors placed around targeted neighborhoods, all tied to a computer system. And with the help of analysts in California who confirm within seconds it's one or more gunshots. I want to show you how sophisticated this system is between the computer system and the people who use them. You can tell the difference between gunfire and what you might get from a car, for example. The car horns, even this. When they get an alert, officers have the location mapped in their cars. In one case, the system detected a shooting in an alley. That was caught on a neighbor's security camera, leading to an arrest.
ShotSpotter is the ears, the neighborhood is the eyes.
Lisa Boggs of Columbus is a big supporter of the system, saying she and her neighbors feel much safer now.
If one life is saved, it will be worth it.
If it works so well, why haven't police agencies in the Miami Valley adopted it?
It is an expensive undertaking.
The sheriff says he's looked at the ShotSpotter system closely and was impressed, but turned off by the cost. Columbus, for example, initially spent more than $700,000.
We don't have that one single area where we believe that hundreds of thousands of dollars should be spent there.
Streck says he even considered using it in certain neighborhoods and then sharing it with the Dayton Police Department.
Our whole philosophy is based on preventing crime.
Dayton's been tracking use of ShotSpotter in a variety of cities, including Cincinnati. But the cost appears to be the biggest factor holding back its use here.
It's expensive, the dollar figure, but if we're able to prevent a crime, I think that's going to be very beneficial.
So the city and the county here are still giving it a look. Claudia Furness.
Hello.
Meanwhile, often takes calls from frightened neighbors when they hear gunfire.
The city of Dayton needs it because they need all the eyes and ears that they can get in anything else.
She's hoping at some point local law enforcement will find a way to add the gunfire detection system, not just in East Dayton, but in other neighborhoods too. In downtown Dayton, outside the offices of Miami Valley Congressman Mike Turner, he does play a part in this, although the drive began with two local veterans.
Retired officer from the Air Force.
Paul Skinner and Bob McHenry both served in the Air Force during the Vietnam War, and now are fighting for justice for their fellow veterans. Their focus is on vets who served during the Vietnam War and were exposed to Agent Orange, a herbicide used to kill trees and other jungle growth. It's also, all these years later, still making people sick.
A year ago, October, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer.
But since Paul served in Thailand instead of Vietnam, his Veterans Administration benefits do not cover his Agent Orange exposure and resulting illness. At first, the VA denied using Agent Orange in Thailand, but then
2010 or 2011, they come out and the VA admitted that they used tactical herbicides in Thailand.
But you're not covered.
No.
These were fighter bases, and we were the bomber base. We had an 11,500-foot runway.
Bob McHenry showed us maps of the bases in Thailand in the late 1960s and early 1970s when he was there. He also showed us declassified documents that claim Agent Orange was only sprayed on the base perimeters, but that's not true. He says it was sprayed close to where they worked and slept to control vegetation. There was no escaping it.
We slept in wooden hooches that were screened. We slept in concrete dorms and modular dorms that had open windows. We didn't have air conditioning, we had fans. And when we were in those, it just circulated the contaminated air.
Another document from the VA downplays the adverse health effects of Agent Orange, wrongfully claiming, quote, there's not much evidence. The VA's only extended benefits to security personnel who applied the Agent Orange, not others in Thailand who now suffer from it. Now Bob's taking his battle for benefits to Capitol Hill, where a bill has been introduced, but explaining it to congressional staffers has been difficult.
When you talk to one of them and you say Thailand, they don't even know where it is on the map, and some of them don't even know there was a Vietnam War.
Miami Valley Congressman Mike Turner has signed on as a co-sponsor of the bill to win benefits for vets who served in Thailand and are now sick from Agent Orange, although neither of Ohio's two U.S. senators have endorsed it yet. While Bob McHenry says he won't give up, Paul Skinner says it leaves him feeling like the VA would rather not face up to facts and their responsibility.
It's been over 45 to 50 years for most people now, and they're just trying to put us on the wayside. We always said we were young and sprayed, now we're old and being betrayed.
So far, Congressman Turner is only one of 3 members of the House who are supporting this effort. The goal here is to get 100% of the Ohio delegation behind it and then see if they can get this passed. In Dayton, Jim Otte, News Center 7.